what's up, bitches? Sorry I'm a little bit late this week, but I've just been extremely busy and it's been almost impossible for me to find any free time. But I'm up here now and we're going to look ahead at the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view that's coming up, and we're going to take a look back at this week's edition of Monday Night Raw, the October 14th edition, and we're going to talk about a few other things, including Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 30, shit like that. As far as Monday Night Raw goes, unfortunately, I did not see it live. I was actually attending the Monday Night Football game between the Chargers and the Colts, and it was really great that the Chargers were able to beat them. I actually thought the Colts were going to come in here and beat us. I have a ton of respect for that kid, Andrew Luck. I think he's fantastic, and I really, I've always liked the franchise of the Indianapolis Colts, but I was really happy to see us actually get a win, get the lead, and close the game out, something that the Chargers really can't do, and it was such a fucking beautiful night. I'll tell you what, if this fucking city will just build a new football stadium for that team, I swear to God, they will have 3 Super Bowls every 10 years here. This is an absolutely perfect place for it, and I think the NFL is going to learn their fucking lesson this year when they put that Super Bowl in New York. It's just going to suck. It's going to be horrible weather or something. It's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a nightmare for the players and the fans, and it's just not going to live up. You know, I want the Super Bowl. I want both teams to be at their best. No fucking crazy conditions to worry about, just to go out there and play. A lot of people disagree with that. They think a Super Bowl should be played in the snow. I do not. And I think the Super Bowl always needs to be in a southern, warm climate city or indoors, one or the other, period. And I think they're going to learn their lesson putting that shit in New York. Now, I'm not saying New York City doesn't deserve a Super Bowl. They just have an outdoor fucking stadium. If they had a roof on it, then fuck yeah, put it there. On to Raw. How refreshing was it to see the tag team titles being defended in the main event and having that be the focus and final thing you see on the show? At least that's what I gather. I did not see Raw live, like I said. I actually watched the Cliff's Notes version on YouTube, all of the WWE, just little segments that they posted. I didn't even watch the full show. But from what I can gather, this was the main event, and what a moment. Everybody would just mark their asses off for the Rhodes brothers winning the tag team titles. And I think it was just an amazing match, the way the Big Show came out and just knocked everybody the fuck out, kind of repaying the Rhodes family for knocking out Dusty a couple of weeks back. They get the 3 count on Roman Reigns and celebrate with the whole crowd going, yes, yes, yes. It was just like, finally, a little fucking respect for the tag team titles. It was a dramatic title change. Normally, I don't even notice when the tag team titles change. Sometimes the team will come out there wearing the belts, and I'm like, when the fuck did they win those? Now, of course, the Big Show had a lot to do with the Rhodes brothers winning the tag team titles. He's supposedly fired. Now, this is where the WWE does things a little bit too stupidly. They're showing video packages on Raw to the former fired star. When the fuck do they do that? If the WWE wanted to make the fans believe, even some of them, even though we all know it's storyline, but if they want to, try a little harder, they just need to treat it like every firing. Don't mention a fucking thing on TV about it. Just simply future endeavor him on the website, remove all of his bios and shit from your roster pages and anything like that you would normally do, and that's it. That's all you have to do, and the fans might buy it. At least some of them will. The more gullible ones will. But when you show 6 or 7 replays and then video packages of the replays of the wrestler getting fired, how fucking even little kids are gonna fucking figure this shit out. But that's just me nitpicking. That's the way the business is today. Everything is so ridiculously overproduced. It's just what the WWE does. They remind you, then they remind you again, and then they remind you again, and then they remind you that they reminded you. It's like, fuck, okay, we get it, we get it, we get it. Fucking goddamn. But anyway, we are still yet to learn why exactly the Big Show is so happy and doesn't seem to be concerned that he's been fired by the WWE, because he was crying, he was doing things he didn't want to do, he was potentially, putting Dusty Rhodes' life in danger by knocking him out. And he did all of this simply because he wanted to keep his job. So why now all of a sudden does he not seem to give a shit about his job? And I mentioned in my last commentary last week that I think it might have something to do with Vince McMahon. The only other thing with the Big Show that I'm wondering if they would do is if maybe, just maybe, this whole thing turns out to be some long, elaborate scheme by the McMahons, and Big Show maybe somehow has been on their side all along. I don't know. I don't know how you explain him helping the Rhodes brothers win the tag team title, though, but they've ignored shit like that before, so maybe they could even go that direction, and the Big Show could really just take the fans full circle, and it turns out he's behind the McMahons the whole time. Kinda hope that doesn't happen, because for once I actually tended to like the Big Show. It was nice to see the fans mark out for him. They popped hard when he was coming through the crowd. And then he hopped over the barricade and he knocked out all 3 members of the Shield, and he's leading the entire crowd in a yes chant. The fans haven't been emotionally behind the Big Show like that, I don't think ever. So I'm not saying the storyline is all bad. I just get a little bit annoyed as, they're not really fooling anybody with him being fired, the way they overproduce the segments. But as far as the storyline goes, it was nice to see the baby faces kind of get one over on the McMahons. It left Triple H in the ring pissed off, ripping his tie off. There's going to be hell to pay next week. And I really, really like the idea of the evil McMahons coming back into the fold. You need that heel. The WWE is just doing what was very, very, very successful for them years ago in the Attitude Era, in the glory days that every fan wishes that was back. Well, guess what? It sort of is. This is the same type of shit they used to do, except this time it's not Vince McMahon, it's Triple H. And if you ask me, Triple H has just as much hate with the fucking smarks that Vince does. It seems to me that this would be a really easy guy to hate for you guys, and I really like the role that Triple H is going to play. This could be, Triple H is going to own this fucking company. This could be a character that we're going to see until the end of fucking time. I think in 30 years' time, you could still possibly see Triple H and Stephanie involved in storylines in the WWE. It's quite possible, so get fucking used to it. Since we're on the subject of Triple H, there's also the main event in the Hell in the Cell for the WWE title. Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, Shawn Michaels is the referee. Shawn Michaels and Randy Orton had a brief exchange in the ring during Shawn Michaels' promo. There was even a little hint of physicality by Shawn as he almost super kicked Randy Orton. So Shawn Michaels is going to play some sort of a role in the Hell in the Cell main event. And you got to wonder what direction they're going to go. I don't think I've been watching and analyzing the product closely enough to give you a valid prediction on this, because I honestly don't know which way they're going to go. I am to the point now where I don't think I can keep giving you guys the excuse, okay, it needs to drag out longer, it needs to drag out longer. We're to the point where I think we should see Daniel Bryan win this title soon. And since I don't think the Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan feud is going to be completely over at this pay-per-view, I think it's going to go into at least one more and maybe even the end of the year. This is where I think Randy Orton wins the title. And it might serve two purposes for the WWE. In a way, Randy Orton, if you think about it, he still is working on two strikes. If you give him short title reigns, it kind of protects yourself just in case he fucks up again. It's not like you've invested months and months into his title reign and then you got to rip it off of him right away. It gives him short title reigns, and it also builds his legacy. He's added a couple world titles to his resume, here in the last month or two. You could go anywhere. There's lots to think about here, but my early prediction is I do think Randy Orton's going to come out of this in some sort of BS way. Not sure if Shawn Michaels is going to necessarily turn on Daniel Bryan. I don't know. I still think there's going to be a Shawn Michaels Triple H confrontation, which that right there might make me change my mind. I can see Daniel Bryan winning the title. Maybe Shawn Michaels helps him out, super kicks Randy Orton. That makes Triple H all pissed off. He comes out on Raw, confronts Shawn Michaels. There's some sort of an altercation, and that gives Randy Orton the rematch against Daniel Bryan, Survivor Series, TLC, what the fuck ever. So, I guess it could go either way. The Daniel Bryan winning the title scenario that I just laid out kind of seems more possible, and I think the fans would enjoy that more, but I just have the sneaking suspicion that Randy Orton might come out of the match with the title somehow. And don't forget, the Bellas are now involved in this thing also, which I've mentioned before, I think is a huge mistake. Some people feel that, hey, the WWE can't ignore it. They're making it public about the engagement, the Total Divas show on E! Everybody knows it anyway. You can't ignore it. Yes, that's true. But when you just add these women to it, they're not needed. They're not needed. The segment on Raw was so stupid when Randy Orton kind of closed the door. Daniel Bryan runs down to try to save his girlfriend, causing him to get counted out against Alberto Del Rio. He busts through the door, Randy Orton attacks him from behind, and those two awful actresses are going, no, stop, don't hurt him, stop. It's fucking pathetic, they're ruining it. I mean, come on, wrestlers are bad enough actors as it is, but you know who are 10 times worse? The divas. And I just don't think they add anything to this. I wouldn't mind one segment, just with them involved. The way Randy Orton, what did he do to Stephanie those years ago? Kind of DDT'd him to get some heat. But this is like the second or third time now the Bellas have been involved with Randy Orton. I don't want to see them involved in the main event. I don't want them fucking running out there. I don't want them to have anything to do with the match or the outcome. I just don't think it adds a lot to it. You can acknowledge it, but then let it go. Leave it to the wrestlers. That's what the fans want to see. And I just hope they don't get too carried away with the divas' involvement in this. That's all. Just don't get too carried away. We also learned what we were going to see at Hell in the Cell regarding Paul Heyman, CM Punk, and Ryback, and I said the same thing last week. I said maybe you're going to see all three of them in the cell together, and that's exactly what it turned out to be. There was a Beat the Clock challenge on Raw. I think CM Punk ended up defeating Curtis Axel, which beat Ryback's time. I forget who he beat, R-Truth maybe. So that allowed Punk to be able to name the stipulation, and he just said handicap match. Me versus Ryback versus Heyman, and then he finished it off with in the Hell in the Cell. Very dramatic. So there we go. We have last year's Hell in the Cell rematch, except Paul Heyman's inside the ring instead of outside. And you got to wonder where this is going to go. As much as I enjoy the work that Paul Heyman and CM Punk do with each other and against each other, I'm ready for it to wrap up. I think it's been long enough. I think maybe this could be it. CM Punk can finally get his hands on Paul Heyman. Now, here's a situation where if it was the Attitude Era, Paul Heyman would probably bleed like a stuck pig in this situation, because if you follow the storyline, Paul Heyman has been pretty fucking evil to CM Punk and really, fucked him over hardcore style. So you would think Punk finally has his chance at revenge. He's inside of a cage with this man. You would think that he would want to, just completely smear Paul Heyman's face all over the edge of this cage and really get his revenge for real. This is another match that right now, it's tough to predict. I have to wonder if CM Punk finally, actually does get his final revenge on Paul Heyman, or if Ryback is able to score a win somehow, maybe with some sort of help. I wouldn't mind seeing Brock Lesnar make an appearance or something like that in order to ensure that Paul Heyman doesn't get killed. And like I said, from this moment on, everything that they do has to have WrestleMania implications. So how big do you want Ryback to be by the time WrestleMania rolls around? Do you have a big opponent plan for him? Does he need to stay strong? Do they want him in a feature match on the card? There's the Goldberg rumors. So even though I'm not really a Ryback fan, that doesn't mean the WWE doesn't have fucking big plans for him. I think that they do. So you have to wonder, CM Punk's just not going to go in there and squash this fucking guy. On top of that, he's got another guy on his team. So I definitely expect some shenanigans in this match on the part of Paul Heyman. They're going to do something strange in the cage. Paul Heyman, I'm sure, will have a trick up his sleeve, and I'm just not ready to predict a winner in this yet either, so fucking give me till next week. I think that's about all I'm going to talk about as far as Raw goes. I can't think of much else. I don't think I've talked about the Matadors yet, the tag team, the Matadors. It's kind of hilarious team to me. I mean, if I look at it and I say, wow, tag team wrestling really is back. It's still not resembling the tag team wrestling that I loved in the 80s, but it's definitely back a lot stronger than it has been in the past. And this should be a good thing for fans. This is something they've always claimed to have wanted. And if you think about it, the WWE, if you start naming the teams, they have a good amount of teams for once. There was a time when they had no tag teams. But now it looks like the WWE is actually spending time developing teams, coming up with gimmicks. I don't know what to make of the Matadors. They're kind of goofy, and I'm really worried that little midget bull is going to steal the spotlight from them, and we don't want that to happen. The team is supposed to get over here, and I hope they're not going to be a joke of a team like 3MB is, who I think they actually beat on Monday Night Raw. And I know some of these teams kind of have to be jokes. They can't all fucking be contenders, but I think Primo and Epico, if they're going to spend this much time on repackaging them and stuff, they're going to need to get some sort of a push. And so far, I'm fine with it. Tag teams have always had crazy gimmicks, weird gimmicks. I don't think the Matadors are any weirder than the Killer Bees or anything like that. So, they always dress up teams in these fucking outfits and give them gimmicks and maybe a little manager, and in this case, a midget. So if you ask me, it's just one more tag team added to the mix, and it helps the division. So it's a good thing. And also, am I hearing this right? Is Damien Sandow actually possibly turning face? That fucking blows my mind. How in the hell are they going to pull this off? I think they've already, put the plan in motion. He did something on SmackDown with Vicky Guerrero and Alberto, and you could just tell that he was playing the role of the face. Well, just a couple of weeks ago, isn't he insulting everybody, the fans? I mean, I can understand you can turn anybody babyface, but it seems to me like it needs to be a little bit more gradual of a process than this. All of a sudden, the fans are supposed to cheer this guy? He's been a fucking piece of shit for the last couple of years. And the WWE, and the fans for that matter, seem to be behind him pretty well. I think I'm one of the only ones that really doesn't like him. But maybe that'll change. I'll see how he does with his new character. Again, does he completely have to change his character? Does he have to fucking insult people's intelligence and shit like that? What are they going to... He's going to have to kind of go in another direction here. I'm sure he could still use the big words and shit like that and be kind of maybe comical in a way and more lighthearted instead of such a douche. And even his theme music, it's not babyface music. You know, it seems like if they're going to get this guy over as a babyface, they're going to have to change a lot. So, I mean, is he still going to come out with that fucking robe and all that shit? Or on SmackDown, I saw him, a picture of him out in that t-shirt. So, you know, maybe he's going to start dressing a little more, I don't know, like Wade Barrett or something like that. I'll let it get going a little further before I start critiquing it. So until then, I don't know what to make of it. Holy shit, have I actually been talking this long and I haven't brought up John Cena's name yet? Uh-oh, John Cena, caps lock key to the left, get ready. Well, he's back for real. They still haven't really explained why he's getting the title match. If you think logically, he lost the WWE title at SummerSlam. If he's going to be the #1 contender for anything, it's going to be that. But he's wrestling at Hell in the Cell for the World Heavyweight title against Alberto Del Rio. This match, I believe, is a regular match. I highly doubt this is in the Cell. I'm already surprised they have 2. There's no way they're going to have 3. So this is John Cena's return match. He's wrestling for the title, and will he win it? I don't know. I mean, it depends on what they try to do with Sandow. I'll tell you what, if they're trying to turn Sandow babyface, this could be a good chance for him to come over, to come in and get launched. You know, cashing in against John Cena, he will probably get cheered for it. So I'm wondering if that'll happen, if this is even the time yet, or if Damien Sandow needs to concentrate on being a babyface and they're going to wait a little longer. And I'm also wondering if this is going to be John Cena's new feud. Is he just going to come back to TV and they're just going to tell the fans, hey, guess what? He's feuding with Alberto Del Rio now. There's no build-up. There's no reason for it. He's just been put in the match. Something's going to happen to spark the feud. They're going to wrestle again, and then they're going to wrestle again. Probably wrestle the next 2 pay-per-views throughout the year. And then when it comes Royal Rumble time, then it's nut-cutting time, and John Cena's probably going to move on to whatever the fuck he's going to be doing. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. No John Cena rant this time, but I'm still hearing, or I'm still assuming anyway, that most fans are probably pissed as shit that John Cena is back and probably fucking hate his guts and not even say for 1 second or think to themselves for 1 second that, holy shit, this guy is a fucking rehab machine. Is the WWE embellishing this a little bit? Possibly. I saw the video package on Raw. You know, I mean, he's chronicling his fucking recovery, day 2, day 3. You know, there's probably a lot of guys on the roster, and if I was on the roster, I'm sure I would be guilty of this. But you would think so many guys, you know, probably want to milk these injuries. If they got a chance, you know, to take a few weeks off the road or a couple of months and fucking recharge their batteries for a bit, you know, I would take as long as the fucking doctors would goddamn let me. John Cena seemed like he's almost itching, you know, to fucking get in that gym and get his shit back together. He's so incredibly driven. Vince McMahon, you know, no matter what everybody says, oh, he's a piece of shit, he's fucking asshole, motherfucker. Some people love him, some people hate him, but even the people that hate him say and admit that he has got to be the hardest working person that they have ever seen. So you would think naturally Vince McMahon would be attracted to guys like that, which is just another reason why they just put all of their eggs in the John Cena basket. They can trust him. They know he's always going to be there for the company. He's always going to fucking do his shit. He's never changing. He is their rock for all those little kids that look up to him, and he ain't going fucking anywhere. I mean, John Cena's now in his late 30s. He shouldn't be healing this quickly anymore. When you're in your fucking 20s, you can shatter your leg in half and tape it up and get back out there. You know, when you start approaching 40 years old, I don't know how old John is. I'm guessing 35, 36. You know, shit starts to hurt. Even if you're in good shape. I mean, I can't even work out the way I used to. You know, I do more, my gym days are over. You know, I work out at home or I run. And the reason I do that is because I don't want to fucking break anything or tear anything or what the fuck. So it just amazes me how incredibly driven he is. But like I said last time, before you get too upset, this could actually be a good thing because you want the World Heavyweight title to be elevated. You want it to mean more. And having John Cena hold it gives it a little bit more meaning heading into WrestleMania 30, and also it keeps him away from your precious Daniel Bryan and his title feud. Daniel Bryan will still get to have his moment and his run with the title because John Cena, the guy that's always in the title picture, you know, is going to be doing something else. So if I'm a John Cena hater, I'm really not too concerned about this because the only thing you would think they are concerned about is him taking any spotlight away from Daniel Bryan and that whole situation. Nobody seems to even give a shit about Alberto Del Rio, so what the fuck do you care? And what if John Cena wins the title and then loses it when Damien Sandow cashes in? This could all potentially be good for everybody that doesn't like John Cena. But at the same token, it could also be very bad for all the people that don't like John Cena because John Cena might walk right into the Hell in the Cell, beat Alberto Del Rio clean, and hold the title up in the air while his music plays and nobody cashes in. And on Raw the next night, he will be the first guy you see holding up his new title. That could very well happen. I'm hoping it goes the other direction. I'm hoping Daniel Bryan is going to be the first guy you see holding up his title. And if they're both holding up titles, that kind of segues into what I want to talk about at WrestleMania 30. I got a couple of more ideas. Deluxe, man, I got to credit you for getting my ball rolling on this. You're the one that said, hey, everybody, wake the fuck up. WrestleMania is going to be here before you know it. And I've been mentioning all along that I think from this point on, everything the WWE does is laying the groundwork for what they have in their heads potentially for WrestleMania. I know a lot can change. They don't even know if guys are going to be involved yet. They don't know if Rock's going to be there. I don't know if Stone Cold is even a possibility anymore. Brock, I'm sure, will be there. Taker, I'm sure, will be there. Triple H, I'm sure, will have a match of some kind. So there's some things that they do know, and I'm sure that everything they do now, they need to plan for this. And one of the things I would just love them to do, there's two things I want to see at WrestleMania 30. Number one, the most important, I want WrestleMania 30 to be the very last time we see The Undertaker perform in the ring. It's time. It's time. I don't want to see The Undertaker retire at WrestleMania 31 or WrestleMania 32. This is the pay-per-view to do it. This is a milestone show. This is where it should all happen. I want to see them do with The Undertaker what they did with Ric Flair. I would like to see The Undertaker get inducted into the Hall of Fame the night before WrestleMania and then have his retirement match against John Cena. Cena is the guy that I want to be Undertaker's opponent for many reasons. Number one, he's the only guy that makes sense for a final match. Now, if it's not The Undertaker's final match, he could wrestle anybody. He could wrestle Brock Lesnar. He could wrestle the fucking Rock. He could wrestle Ryback. Who the hell knows? But if it's his retirement match, it is John Cena and John Cena only. I don't want to see this match in 2015. I want to see it in 2014. WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans is where it needs to happen. And we've been lucky enough that The Undertaker at his age and in his condition have given us, the last 4 WrestleMania matches that he has had are arguably the 4 best that he has ever had. So his ability to bring his A game at his age is unbelievable, but eventually it's going to catch up to him. And I don't want The Undertaker's last match or his last matches to be shitty and he can barely move and he's fucking falling down and that sort of thing. So I want him to leave on top like he's always been. He's The Undertaker, he's the Phenom, he's fucking immortal. Imagine the pop at WrestleMania 30 with John Cena's head hitting the mat after the tombstone. The arms are folded, 1, 2, 3, and that's the main event. I hate to say it. If The Undertaker's going to retire, both titles need to be defended earlier on in the card. That's just the way it has to be. The titles are going to have to take a back seat if he doesn't retire. And this is just another match for him, and he's going to wrestle next year, and maybe even the next 2 or 3. Then I have another idea for WrestleMania 30. How about we unify these fucking titles? The brand extension is over. SmackDown and Raw are no longer separate shows. Everybody is on everything again, which is the way I'm glad it is. It should have always been that way. I think the WWE just had so many guys, they felt they had to, separate the shows to help develop other younger talent. Well, now they got NXT and they got their developmental center and their, their training facility and all that shit that they do. They invested a lot of time and money into developing the talent of the future, and you no longer need SmackDown for that. So if you're going to combine the shows, then you need to combine world champions. Now, you can still run A and B shows. That's the problem. They have 2 world champions so they can have a world title, quote unquote, defended at every house show. Well, there's fucking ways around that. You can book the cards differently. You can put, I don't know what the fuck you can do. There's just ways to still do it where you can run 2 towns if you want to and still only have 1 world champion, because most of the time people are going to the show to experience the WWE show, not to really see anybody specifically. I couldn't imagine not going to a WWE show just because one guy wasn't going to show up. It's still a fucking show. It's still an experience. You still have a good time going, so fucking go. Now, as far as who will unify these titles, I got to tell you, if The Undertaker is not going to have his retirement match and he's not going to wrestle John Cena, then I would think John Cena would have to be involved in this. But who I would really like to see be involved in this somehow, some way, is what I mentioned in my last commentary with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. I want them both to have a moment at this WrestleMania, because if you think about what WrestleMania 20 represented, kind of the blast off into the new era, Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, 2 wrestlers, 2 guys that fans respected, getting their due at the biggest, sports entertainment show of all time was a pretty big deal. And I think that era never really got underway. This is another chance for them to recreate that. And I would really like to see one or both of them have the moment that Benoit and Eddie had, 10 years ago. As far as the other matches, we can debate that all day. Somebody brought to my attention something that I've already been thinking. I can't remember if I've mentioned it. I think I've mentioned it in a previous commentary, but not recently. But a potential opponent for The Rock. Everybody thinks Brock Lesnar would be a great opponent, but the longer we go without seeing Brock, you know, his first priority is going to be a match with CM Punk. I'm pretty sure we know that. So if he doesn't come back quickly enough, he's not going to have time to get his feud in with Punk before he builds something for WrestleMania with The Rock. So it just depends on when Brock comes back and what they have planned for him. But why not have The Rock versus Randy Orton? I think that would just be a great idea because Randy Orton was the guy that they wanted to be the new Rock. I think they wanted him. They saw The Rock and Randy Orton a lot sooner than they saw it in John Cena. You know, Randy Orton just had that look. He had that movie star look when he came in. He had a fair amount of charisma. He was great in the ring. He even had a similar body type to The Rock. I think The Rock's a little thicker, but Randy Orton might be a couple inches taller. I don't know. They're both third-generation wrestlers. They almost mirror each other, you know, in their upbringing. And, you know, The Rock's not going to be able to, you know, call Randy Orton a fruity pebble motherfucker and, you know, make little nursery rhymes about how childish he is. That shit's not going to work. So it could make a really good feud. I'd be all for it. I'd have no problem with The Rock versus Randy Orton. One guy that I hope doesn't return is Hulk Hogan. What's his fucking deal with TNA? Apparently he's not re-signed. I am begging you, Hogan, please re-sign with them. Let them pay you as much money as they're willing to pay you to stay put in that shithole. I would have loved nothing more years ago than for you to actually fulfill what the WWE wanted you to be and that Babe Ruth character of wrestling and come back at WrestleMania 30 when you were at the very first WrestleMania. You know, you coming back at WrestleMania 30 and having that moment and all of that would have been wonderful. I would have wanted that just as much as anybody else, but you ruined it. You're a joke. You're a fucking moron. You've made a goddamn mess of your life and nobody respects you anymore. And I really don't think you even deserve to be there. So just stay the fuck in TNA and keep running that shithole into the ground. The wheels are already coming off that fucking thing. It's going to drown, and when they re-sign you, it'll just seal their fate. That will be the final nail in the coffin, and I don't even think they will be able to fulfill your contract. They won't even live that long because you'll kill it. You are a waste of money, and TNA doesn't understand that. They, for some reason, want you, and they are willing to spend money on you, but not on AJ and not on other guys and shit like that. It fucking blows my mind. I can't figure out why they're not successful. But Hogan, I'm sure you will rape them for every dollar that you can, and you'll have all the control in the world over that little rinky-dink company, and I don't have to fucking worry about you showing your face in WWE. But if he did, I will say right now, there is no way the WWE will put him in the ring. No way. If he does anything, it'll be those Hall of Fame rumors that we've heard about. The Warrior's been doing some shit with the WWE. It seems to me like they might have kissed and made up. This could be a good time for the Ultimate Warrior to get inducted into the Hall of Fame, and that could be the WWE's I'm sorry for that DVD they put out on him, even though I enjoyed the DVD. Also been hearing Randy Savage's name pop up. I think that all depends on what the Poffos want to do, if they want to allow it or not. I don't know. If they put Randy Savage in the Hall of Fame and the Warrior in the Hall of Fame, you would think that Hulk Hogan would be a pretty good inductor for one or the other. Probably Savage. I don't even think Warrior and Hogan get along. Remember, they were fucking shouting off at each other on Twitter. And I don't think Kevin Nash and the Warrior get along either. What if they fucking induct the NWO like we've possibly heard about? So that would be some crazy interactions at the Hall of Fame. A lot of guys not liking each other. But if Hogan did come into the WWE and had something to do with the Hall of Fame, Randy Savage would be a really good guy for him to induct. Even though I'm pretty sure Savage hated Hogan too, right up until the end. Those guys had a tumultuous relationship. So if you ask me, that would be a fitting place for Hulk Hogan to be, because he would fit right in there in the Hall of Fame if they chose to induct those guys. But that's it. He doesn't belong on the WrestleMania card. He doesn't belong in the ring. He doesn't belong anywhere taking up any time on that show. The best he gets is a backstage interview with Mean Gene. Oh, and by the way, the video that everybody in the world sent me, I swear I got over 100 videos of Hulk Hogan swinging on a wrecking ball in a thong. I do not need to see that. Hostamania, is that what the commercial was for? I have no idea what that is, nor do I give a shit. I will not even check it out. How in the fuck can putting Hulk Hogan in a thong make you want to check out a website? Seeing Hulk Hogan's leathery bare ass is like fucking kryptonite to me. Get that shit away from me. So whatever that new business venture of Hulk Hogan's is, I'm sure it's stupid and I don't give a shit. That is it for this week. I will be up here one more time before the pay-per-view, I'm sure, and I will try to give a little bit more accurate and solid predictions once I have a better understanding of what the fuck is going on. So I will talk to you guys next week. Take care. Peace.